There are people who are super, uber religious themselves. Uber religious themselves. Donating to masajid, going to Hajj every year, this and that and the other. But their own child says, I want to learn more Islam. No. You go become a doctor. You study medicine. I'm willing to spend money, but I'm not willing to spend my child. I can't do that for my deen. Not my child. Take the money though. Take a check. Whatever Allah has given you. We have to even think of our families as a devotion to Allah. It's an opportunity to devote, the husband and wife have to remind each other that they are both devoted to Allah. And husband and wife together are to remind the children that the children are one day to be devoted to Allah. They have to work towards that. Have a career. Be a doctor. Doctors are not evil. Mostly. Right? Be a physician. Be an architect. Be a businessman. Be an entrepreneur. But don't forget you're here to serve deen. Allah never gave us money so we could be successful. Allah gave us money so we could spend more. That's what Surah Al-Hadid already taught us. Why is Allah telling... By the way, if Allah says spend, you can't spend until you make, right? If you didn't make anything, what are you going to spend? Inherent in it is you have to be financially successful. You do. You have to work towards that. But why are you working towards that? So you could spend. So you could give more. You know? And anfiqu here, I'll add for the guys, brothers and sisters, your youth, your talent, your creativity, your enthusiasm, your energy. You have to spend this stuff. How am I going to serve? How am I going to be of service? How's my life going to mean something? You guys, we all need deen counseling, serving deen counseling. We have a career counselor. We have to have a khidmatul deen counselor. My name's Kareem. I'm really good at math. What should I do for Islam? What can I do for Islam? Because there's lots of things you can do for Islam. You don't have to just be a speaker. There's lots of stuff you can do. There's a lot to be done. وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Before death comes to any one of you, what was the problem? The major negative mentioned in the previous? Death, running from death. You can't run from it. فَيَقُولَ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي. Then in that case he would say, Master, if you just delay for me just a little bit, إِلَى أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ, until just a nearby deadline. Give me a couple more days. Just a couple more days. فَأَصَّدَّقْ. Then I'll confirm the truth. وَلَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا. Allah will not delay for even a single person. إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا. When his deadline or her deadline arrives. وَاللَّهُ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. And Allah has full news, full account of what you're up to, what you're doing. Meaning, get your act together now. Why are you worried about making excuses in the future when you can change your behavior now? If you've already been told, well, this is coming, and you didn't change your act, you didn't get your act together at all, then why should you be given a second chance? You've already been told. May Allah Azza wa Jal save us from being munafiqeen, and may Allah Azza wa Jal save us from having a facade of our deen, and only for it to be revealed on Judgment Day that it was meaningless. May Allah Azza wa Jal save our iman, protect our iman, and make it stronger and stronger as the days go by. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Now Allah is talking about women that you are married to, and He says marry and live with your women, have family life with your women in decent fashion. Ashir comes from ashara. What does ashara mean? 10. Ashira means family. Ashiruhunna means have a big family with your women. Live together in a family. This is ashir. It derives from ashara. I mean, you have lots of kids and live together happily in a decent way. فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ. Then if you've started hating them, فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ, over time, husband and wife start getting more and more agitated with each other. They become better at fighting with each other. It takes less and less to get annoyed with each other. And you've got to the point where you really can't stand it. Your wife so much as looks at you, go, don't start that. I know what that means. She goes, what? What are you talking about? And they just start. You always say that. I don't always say. You always say always. And then, I don't always say always. I never say always. You always say never too. So, right? I'm not replaying anything, by the way. So it's all my imagination. Entirely imagination. Right? And if that happens, فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا. As you're walking away, going to the masjid, fine, I'm going to the masjid. You're leaving. If you really don't like them, then it may be that you really don't like something. وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And Allah has put a lot of good in it for you. You don't like it, but Allah has put a lot of good in it for you. Learn to appreciate the good in it. And Allah has put the good in it. In other words, Allah is dropping a hint to the believer. Not just sometimes you dislike something and Allah put a lot of good in it. Your wife, yeah, this is a bunch of things you don't like about her. How about you make a list of things that Allah has put good in her? He doesn't even give her credit. Now this becomes a matter of giving Allah credit. So as a matter of faith, you'll have to think about what is good about my wife. It's not even a matter of what's good about my wife for her sake. Allah said He put khair in her. He put good in her. So it forces us to think, because otherwise a brother might respond, Akhi, I've checked. There's nothing good. I've checked thoroughly. But Allah takes that credit Himself. وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah would have put something in it, a good thing in it, in the marriage, in her. وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمُ اسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ. And if you've made up your mind you want to replace one spouse with another, you want to divorce her, you want to marry somebody else, وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا. And you had given to one of them a huge piles of what, when you loved her, you bought her everything, you put the account in her name, you did this and that, house in her name, everything was in her name, because you love her so much, you're going to be with her till you die, etc., until you start hating her, and now you say, oh my God, everything's in her name. فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Don't you touch anything from it, don't take anything from it at all. لَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Allah said, لَا تَأْخُذُوا شَيْئًا. Don't take anything. Don't even take from it anything, not even a portion of something. Don't even take a part of it. Nothing. أَتَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا. Like one day you're piling up all her jewelry and in a bag. He said, what are you doing? Well, this is when I loved you. Now I don't love you, so I'm taking a love refund. Right? Right? Allah says, أَتَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا. Are you taking for yourselves a clear, open, serious allegation? In other words, she will be making that allegation against you on Judgment Day and it will stick. That is an absolute case against you. وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. And an open, clear sin. There's not even, it could be argued, well, you don't know what she did. No. إِثْمًا مُبِينًا. There's no argument. It's clearly a sin. There is no other way of looking at it. وَكَيْفَ تَأْخُذُونَهُ. And how dare you're going to take it? How are you going to take it? وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. And you have been in contact with one another, meaning you would have had intimacy with one another. أَفَضَى comes from فِضَى, which means air. أَفَضَى or أَفْضَى إِلَى فُلَانٍ means he went to somebody. Also means he went to somebody and shared close breath with him, meaning he shared secrets with him. Afda also means to spread. In other words, you've let yourself loose before your spouse like nobody else. You don't even behave that way in front of your mother the way you do in front of your spouse. We're completely comfortable with our spouses. You've had that kind of closeness that is not in any other relationship. How can you just take away all of that? How can that just be erased? Just because you had a couple of fights or you can't get along anymore, that doesn't erase all the good that was already there. وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. And they had taken from you a serious contract. Here's a very beautiful expression to describe marriage. I told you before, socially, what is marriage? It is an exchange of responsibility. But who is the contract against and who is it in favor of? It is in favor of the woman and it is against it's a liability on the husband. In other words, when you sign a loan agreement? When you sign a loan agreement, the contract is against you and in favor of the party giving you the loan, right? So in a contract, generally, there's the person who goes against, who's on the liability side, and someone on the collection side. In this case, when it comes to Judgment Day, specifically here I'm talking about Judgment Day, not even in this dunya, on Judgment Day, the marriage contract is a favor to the spouse, the wife, and it's a liability against the husband. He'll be questioned. Which makes total and absolute sense. Why? Whoever takes responsibility is, you know what the Arabic word for responsible is, right? Mas'ul. Someone who will be asked. If you've transfer of responsibility means you're the responsible party, you're the liable party. فَأَخَذْنَا مِنْكُمْ. They have taken from you مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا, an intense, a severe covenant in which you are responsible. They've taken it from you. They're in the advantageous position. How dare you take their money then? If this contract has come to an end, you really want to put yourself in that position? وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. I don't fail to mention, it's critical that we mention actually, that this contract between husband and wife is described as مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. Mithaq, I've mentioned before, when both parties are equally aware of all the provisions. which is what needs to be clear in a marriage contract too. But mithaqan ghalidhan, a specific adjective, intense, strong, tough, unbreakable, not budging. That's what the ghalidh is. It's the contract. This term is used to describe when Allah took a contract from prophets that they will deliver the message. That exact wording, mithaqan ghalidha, is used. Now that's being used to describe the contract between husband and wife. Imagine how seriously this contract is taken with Allah. That one shouldn't mess around when it comes to this agreement.